When the earthquake struck, my older sister and younger brother, protected by my parents, successfully escaped. But I was forgotten inside the house. From then on, I stopped expecting family affection, mountains high and rivers long. I would find my own place in the world, but they regretted it. The natural disaster was merciless. The collapsed building buried the weak lives. I was trapped under the rubble like this. The four who successfully escaped cried and hugged each other. It's okay. Our whole family is safe. Everyone is safe. Mom tightly hugged my younger brother, crying uncontrollably. As soon as she said that, they cried even more sadly. My older sister was the most delicate. Mom and Dad ran too fast just now. My little leather shoes are scratched. Dad looked at her with heartache. When I have time, Dad will take you to buy new ones. Thank you, Daddy. Daddy is the best. They even started discussing where they would travel after the earthquake was over. From beginning to end, no one thought of me. My leg was pinned under a beam. Through a crack, I clearly saw everything that happened outside. It wasn't until half an hour later that the rescue team arrived. Is there anyone else in the house? Dad stepped forward. No, our whole family is here. Mom's eyes were only on my older sister and younger brother. She hugged them tightly, sobbing. And I finally woke up from unconsciousness. The rescue team is here. I'm saved. I wanted to shout, but before the earthquake struck, my throat was severely inflamed, and even with all my strength, I could barely squeeze out complete words, so no one heard me. The rescuers were misled and were about to leave. No, I struggled, but tore the wound on my leg. The pain made me even more clear-headed. As the rescue workers turned to leave, a knocking sound came from under the rubble. It wasn't until it got dark that I was rescued by the rescue team. By then, I had already lost consciousness due to excessive bleeding. Before completely losing consciousness, I heard the rescuers' voices. Be careful, she's lost a lot of blood. My name is Sophia Song. From the moment I was born, I carried my family's hope for a son. In the hospital, in a haze, I heard my younger brother's noisy voice. I want a hamburger. I want fried chicken. I don't want to stay in the hospital. Okay, Mom will take you out to buy some now. Let's go now. Okay, anything you want. Mom dotingly scratched my younger brother's nose. Dad, on the other hand, was a bit annoyed. He said, all right, hurry up and take him out. Sophia is still resting. She hasn't woken up after so many days. Who knows if she's faking it? Mom always liked to interpret my actions with the worst intentions. The hospital room door closed. After Mom left with my younger brother, the room was quiet for a short time. After a while, Dad sighed, as if talking to himself. Don't blame us. It's your fault for not being close to us. Since you were little, we didn't forget you on purpose.
It was just too chaotic that day.
Dad knew I was awake. Those words completely plunged me into hell. Dad didn't usually get involved in household matters. He didn't seem as biased. When I didn't get a chicken leg and my older sister and younger brother did, he would give me a wing. He would also remind Mom to buy me new clothes when he noticed I didn't have any. He would even come and comfort me when I was sad, saying that Mom and Dad loved me too. They just didn't know how to be good to me, but it turned out Dad was the same. My older sister was the first child in the family, the child born when Mom and Dad loved each other the most. Her name is Star Song. My younger brother was born with everyone's anticipation. He usually got whatever he wanted. His name is Comet Song. I always knew they didn't like me. I was sent back to the village to be taken care of by Grandma. From the moment I was born, Grandma loved me very much. But Grandma was old, and when I was in middle school, she sent me back. From then on, my nightmare began. After being discharged from the hospital, I was brought home. My younger brother, taking advantage of his young age, was unrestrained in his words. So ugly, a frog with no legs. And Mom, upon hearing this, just lightly said to my younger brother, don't talk nonsense. There was no hint of reprimand or strictness in her tone. My older sister, on the other hand, lowered her head and fiddled with her nails, not paying any attention to this scene at all. Dad glanced at me, seeing that I didn't react much. He nodded with satisfaction. That earthquake has made you much more sensible. Otherwise, you always say we're biased and don't know how to be united and loving. I clenched the blanket, covering my legs, my face pale. Seeing that I didn't respond, the atmosphere became a little awkward. My younger brother continued to make faces at me, rolling his eyes. Mom sighed and came over to hold my hand. Sophia, stop being angry, okay? Your brother is still young. Don't argue with him. I pulled my hand away forcefully, staring straight at him. He paused, frowning, looking at me with dissatisfaction. Before he could speak again, Dad earnestly advised me, Sophia, you're also our child. Of course I love you too. You can't always be so awkward. You haven't given us a good look since you were discharged from the hospital. Did we want you to? Dad looked at my empty right pant leg and stopped speaking. I gave a bitter smile. Their love for me was frighteningly thin. I met their gaze. I heard. They were confused. I continued, I heard you tell the rescue workers that the whole family was present. As soon as I said that, the entire place fell silent. Even my older sister looked over. Mom and Dad's eyes flashed with a hint of guilt, but it quickly turned into the anger of being exposed. Dad suddenly stood up and went to the balcony to smoke. Mom angrily turned around and walked out. With a bang, she slammed the door shut with a deafening noise. My older sister raised her chin. Do you think we owe you something? Do you think we all have to apologize to you? Stop being ridiculous. Sophia, this was a natural disaster. No one wanted it to happen. This incident was like a tiny speck of dust. It didn't stir up any waves in this family. My older sister was still Mom and Dad's cherished treasure, receiving all the love. If she wanted a dress or little leather shoes, she just had to mention it, and Mom and Dad would put them in front of her. My younger brother was still unrestrained, amusing himself by mocking my disability. He would even lead the way in bullying me at school, calling me broken-legged frog. Dad seemed to notice I was becoming more and more silent. He wanted to make up for something. So occasionally, he would buy me small gifts after work, but those gifts were always snatched away by my younger brother when he cried and wanted them. My older sister would also be dissatisfied, saying Dad was biased. Every time this happened, Dad would just sigh helplessly. Sophia, Dad will buy you another gift next time. We're all family. Don't be so petty. I hadn't said anything yet, but it was already considered me being petty. Mom, on the other hand, would avoid me. She would tell the neighbors that I had become very eccentric after my disability. Life at school became even more difficult. The strange looks from my classmates were like knives cutting away at my self-esteem and dignity. I became more and more silent and gloomy. From then on, I could only be by myself in such a suffocating environment. I became more and more withdrawn. Only by immersing myself in the ocean of knowledge could I find a moment of peace. So my grades were always at the top of my class, and just like that I got into a key high school, but it was also in this year that Grandma became critically ill. Even my aunt, who had been living abroad for many years, came back. A group of people gathered in the small house, sobbing uncontrollably. Mom pushed my younger brother in front of Grandma. Quick, say something to Grandma. My younger brother was a little afraid of Grandma, who had become as thin as a skeleton. He didn't want to speak. Mom pointed at my younger brother's head. Useless fellow. But there wasn't a hint of blame in her tone. My older sister, on the other hand, was sweet-talking. She tightly held Grandma's hand. Grandma, don't worry, I'll take good care of my little brother, and sister, I'll be a good girl. Grandma was already weak, her breath shallow. Her gaze swept over my older sister and looked at me, my dear girl, but I was like a statue, unable to move. Grandma, my dearest Grandma. I opened my mouth, but couldn't make a sound. My relatives' gazes were cast upon me. The eyes of the group were full of dissatisfaction and accusation. What's wrong with you? Grandma is like this, and you still haven't shown any emotion. No matter what, Grandma raised you from scratch. How can you be so heartless? You're really heartless. No wonder you lost a leg. Heaven is punishing you. My relatives' voices were unconcealed, hitting me like raindrops one by one. Mom's face turned very ugly. She took a few steps to my side and yanked me hard.
What are you being stubborn about now?
It's one thing to act up at home, but how can you be so insensitive in front of Grandma? How could I have given birth to a child like you? Dad also looked over. His eyes were full of disappointment. Usually your grandma loves you the most. Can't you just let her go peacefully? My older sister, on the other hand, was sobbing uncontrollably. Grandma, I can't bear to lose you. My younger brother stood behind the adults, whispering and muttering, see? I told you she's weird. Grandma is like this, but she's not sad at all. Everything around me gradually became distorted and blurred. In my world, only Grandma remained, her aged eyes full of pity and heartache. My body felt as if it were no longer Mine all emotions were locked within this shell. Just then my aunt walked in from outside seeing this scene. She said sharply, "What are you all arguing about? Can't you just let my mother rest in peace?" But her words were swallowed up by the surrounding accusations, unable to stir up much of a ripple. I stood there, like a lonely island in the sea. The buzzing sound was in my ears. Before me were Grandma's increasingly dim and spiritless eyes. I fainted. When I woke up, my aunt was sitting by my bed. Seeing me open my eyes, her eyes immediately turned red. "Why is your body so depleted? Why have you been malnourished for so long?" "Grandma," I couldn't hear anything. I just kept muttering to myself.
I think I saw Grandma.
I squeezed out a smile, wanting to reach out and touch Grandma. My aunt, however, cried out in alarm and called a doctor. "What's wrong with her?" "Doctors, please examine her quickly." After a brief examination, the doctor concluded, due to excessive stress, the patient suffered from severe psychological trauma. Moreover, she had a history of depression. My aunt was silent for a minute. Then she broke down and cried, "Nothing can happen to her. I promised Mom I would take good care of you. Sophia, nothing can happen to you." Just then Mom and Dad happened to come back from outside. My aunt immediately exploded and argued with Mom and Dad, which led to a fierce quarrel. Mom was full of grievances, shouting, "How have we not been good to her? She's the one who's awkward, with a blank face all day. Who dares to approach her?" Dad, on the other hand, smoked silently, his back to us, not saying a word. Mom was still crying, complaining, "Sister-in-law, you're stabbing me in the heart by saying that. Don't listen to her talking nonsense. She just likes to gain sympathy." My aunt was trembling with anger. "Sophia, do you know she's malnourished? That's because she's a picky eater. She doesn't like anything." Mom stiffened her neck. "I don't know when it started, but at mealtimes my younger brother always liked to compete with me silently. He would snatch the dishes I liked and would deliberately pick the same dish as me. Mom and Dad never stopped him. My living allowance was also very little. It wasn't even enough to eat at the school cafeteria. They often forgot to give me my living allowance. Sometimes when I was hungry and told Mom, she would impatiently scold me for being wasteful with money. "Your older sister and younger brother have enough. Why are you the only one who doesn't?" Later I found out that my older sister and younger brother's living allowance was more than twice mine. I made a scene, but Mom and Dad's explanation was, "Your older sister is older, she eats more, of course, she needs more living expenses than you. Your younger brother is a boy. He consumes more. Of course, he needs more." In short, giving me fewer living expenses was the right thing to do. This argument between my aunt and Mom and Dad ended with both sides leaving unhappy. When I was discharged from a hospital, my older sister came to pick me up. She had always been a woman of few words with me. My older sister had a cold face the whole time. She walked very quickly. I walked behind her, limping with my crutches. Seeing that I was walking slowly, she frowned, a little impatient. "Can you walk faster?" "I have things to do."
I don't have time to waste on you.
My older sister flagged down a car and got in by herself. My legs and feet were inconvenient. I almost fell when I got in the car. She was indifferent, watching my awkwardness with cold eyes. The car was terrifyingly quiet the whole way. As we neared home, my older sister suddenly spoke. "I like the bracelet on your wrist, give it to me." I subconsciously covered the bracelet on my wrist. "Grandma gave this to me." Grandma had worn it for decades. My aunt said Grandma was a rich man's daughter before, and this bracelet was very expensive. She told me to keep it carefully. Even if this bracelet wasn't valuable, I wouldn't give it to anyone else. This was the last memento Grandma gave me.
No.
I refused without hesitation. My older sister pouted. "TCH, it's just a worthless trinket. Who cares?" When I got home, dinner was already made. My younger brother was playing games in the living room. Seeing me, he immediately showed a malicious smile. "Oh, the broken-legged frog is back." Dad was reading the newspaper in the living room and didn't say anything, as if he was already used to it. Dinner was the same as usual. Mom put the chicken legs in my older sister and younger brother's bowls. Separately, this wasn't enough. My younger brother greedily put the braised pork he liked into his own bowl. Mom smiled and pointed at his head. "You're still so mischievous." I quietly ate the rice in my bowl, ignoring them. Dad, on the other hand, clipped a wing for me. "As usual, you like eating wings. Here, both wings are yours." I didn't say anything. Actually, I like eating chicken legs. Suddenly, Mom seemed to remember something and looked at me. We're short on money. Lately, sell the bracelet. Impossible. I suddenly stood up, showing my resentment in front of them for the first time. Why are you so cruel? You want to take away even the last memento Grandma left me? If you hate me so much, why did you give birth to me in the first place? After saying that I didn't care about their reaction, I rushed back to the bedroom, locked the door back in the room. I happened to see the message my aunt sent me. Sophia, Annie has arranged your passport. Let's go abroad together. Leave this place. Okay. After pressing send, I lost all my strength and collapsed onto the bed. Outside the door, Mom's angry insults suddenly erupted. You've grown wings, huh? Grandma's bracelet was left for you to keep. Do you think it's yours now? Dad was also shouting for me to open the door. Sophia, open the door first. My younger brother's mocking voice followed closely. You monster. You're always causing trouble. You're so useless. I ignored them. I just stared intently at the bracelet on my wrist. This was given to me by Grandma before she passed away. I no longer hesitated. I started packing my luggage. I didn't have much stuff, just a small amount of clothing and a few books. I wanted to escape this home. I've wanted to for a long time. A long time ago, my aunt asked me if I wanted to go with her, but at that time I was worried about Grandma, so I stayed. The past few years flashed through my mind like a revolving lantern, one by one. Halfway through packing, I saw a photo of me with Grandma. Grandma in the photo was holding me tightly in her arms, looking at me kindly. Tears streamed down my face. This was the first time I had cried since Grandma died. Grandma, my voice was sharp. The commotion outside the door suddenly stopped. The night outside was thick and dark. Everything around was dead silent. Just as I closed the suitcase, outside the door, I heard Mom and Dad arguing in hushed voices. Sophia is also your child. You shouldn't be so harsh on her. Dad's voice was a little impatient. Are you blaming me? Was it my idea to sell the bracelet? If you had some capability, we wouldn't be unable to afford the children's tuition. All right, I can't argue with you, Dad said in a low voice. Mom was still relentless, but her voice was already tinged with tears. How did I know she was so sensitive? She actually has depression. Besides, didn't we all go through this?
She's just being dramatic.
Mom was still shirking responsibility. Just then my older sister sent me a message. Your attending physician just called us. He said you need to come back for a follow-up appointment. Sophia, you should have told us earlier instead of acting like you had no voice. You're not reading too many novels, are you? Are you trying to use death to punish us? Stop being childish. Health is your greatest asset. I looked at the messages, pressing my lips together. Would it have helped to tell them? I actually did tell them, but no one believed me. Mom and Dad were still arguing outside the door endlessly. What use is it to say all this now? My aunt is taking her abroad tomorrow. Sophia, are you not going to be our daughter anymore? Mom's voice was a little anxious. Let her go wherever she wants. I'll just pretend I don't have this daughter, Dad said in a sulky tone. That night, I looked up at the moon outside the window. The next day, I woke up early. The time I had agreed upon with my aunt arrived just as I was about to push the door open and leave. My younger brother's voice came from behind me. I heard you're going abroad. None of your business. I replied coldly. I turned around and walked away. Are you leaving because you don't like this family? My younger brother tilted his head and looked at me. I couldn't help but stop. I was silent for a long time. My younger brother puffed out his chest and continued, it's probably for the best that you leave. From now on, both the chicken legs and wings will be mine. I gave a bitter smile and shook my head, but my younger brother spoke again. I won't bully you anymore in the future. Don't leave. I ignored him. I opened the door. As the door opened, I saw my older sister leaning against the bedroom doorframe, watching me. You can't go. What do you mean? A bad feeling rose in my heart. My older sister slowly walked in. Mom and Dad went to find Annie last night. They won't let Annie take you. They even said if Annie insists on taking you, they'll accuse Auntie of kidnapping a child. My head exploded. My face instantly turned pale. My older sister was a little uncomfortable, avoiding my eyes. I know you haven't been happy at home these past few years, but we haven't done anything wrong either. You're too sensitive. Mom and Dad also know they've neglected you too much. After this, we'll all treat you well. Try to be more optimistic. I couldn't listen anymore. I stumbled back 2 steps. My younger brother returned to his usual mischievous self. Ha 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 ha, you can't go, serves you right. He made a face at me and then ran back to his room. I opened my aunt's contact information with trembling hands. I called, but no one answered for a long time. My older sister seemed a little unable to bear it. Forget it, Sophia. There's really no need to go abroad. It's not that great over there either. I heard Auntie is just a dishwasher abroad. How can she afford to support you? Oh, shut up, I shouted angrily. I felt like they were driving me crazy. If I don't leave this home, I'll go crazy. I couldn't contact my aunt. Mom and Dad came back at night. They were unusually warm and attentive towards me. Mom's face was full of ingratiating smiles. He held out a beautifully wrapped small box with both hands. Sophia, didn't you say before you wanted to try the pastries from the shop? Mom waited in line for a long time to buy them. You try them. Her smile was forced and unnatural. Dad also came over, holding a ticket in his hand. Daughter, I remember you like going to museums. I specially bought a ticket for you today. His tone carried a hint of cautiousness. I sat on the sofa, staring blankly at my phone. The phone screen showed the conversation with my aunt chat history. I sent several messages in a row, but my aunt didn't reply. Mom leaned over to look at my phone. Her eyes were red and wet. She mumbled, "You want to leave so badly?" I was indifferent to their reactions. Like a puppet whose soul had been drawn out, I mechanically refreshed the chat history. Everything outside could not stir the slightest ripple in my heart. Mom saw I wasn't reacting at all, and her smile began to falter, but she still spoke hesitantly. Sophia, Mommy will stay home with you tomorrow, okay? And then the day after tomorrow, we'll go see a doctor. The doctor said you're getting worse, she said, reaching out to hold my hand. I instinctively pulled my hand away, as if his hand was something terrifying. Dad coughed awkwardly twice, and added, "Yeah, daughter, I'm not going to work tomorrow either. We'll both stay home with you." Their pleading and cautious voices echoed in the living room, but there was still no response. Just then my younger brother came out of his room, reluctantly pushed by my older sister. He didn't dare to look at me, and his eyes were still wet. "Sister Sophia, Sister Star, you've already taught me a lesson. I know I was wrong. I won't bully you anymore in the future, okay? I'm still young. Don't hold it against me." His usual mischievous look was gone, replaced by helplessness. But to me, this was just a clumsy and laughable performance. My older sister walked over, standing next to me. "Sophia, when you get better, we'll go to college together. I'll look out for you." Her hand was on my shoulder, but I only felt cold all over. I looked at them, my heart filled with endless numbness. Why are they suddenly acting like this? Do they have some motive? Surely, they don't want to trick me into giving them the bracelet, right? I couldn't help but assume the worst intentions about them. Then I covered the bracelet on my wrist. The bracelet. Impossible, I won't give it to you. Their pupils widened suddenly, then they hurriedly explained that they didn't mean that, but I didn't believe them. I only felt something burning in my chest. I suddenly stood up and smashed everything I could see. Before long, the living room was a mess. The sound of breaking objects mingled with my family's cries. It was incredibly noisy. Dad tried to come over, but I swung the glass cup in my hand and hit his forehead, breaking it open. Just destroy it all. Destroy everything. This was the only thought in my mind. Since I was in so much pain, then let everyone suffer with me. When I was tired of smashing things, I stopped there, my eyes vacant and empty. "Sophia, please don't be like this." Mom's voice was tearful, full of anxiety and helplessness. I slowly turned my head, looking at her expressionlessly. Half a month later, I caused trouble at home every day. My younger brother had no choice but to move back to school. My older sister also returned to college. As for me, I took a leave of absence and stayed home. Mom and Dad took turns guarding me at home. Everyone had injuries on their faces from me. I couldn't control myself. During the day, I would scream and yell and want to smash things. At night, I would cry heartbreakingly. The neighbors had complained many times. One day I was tired of making a mess, so I lay back down on the bed. In a daze, I heard Mom's suppressed sobbing. "What are we going to do? Sophia is already crazy.
She's going to ruin this family."
"That's what we deserve. We didn't take good care of her." Dad choked back tears. A month later, I was forcibly taken to the hospital. After I attacked him, The doctor concluded that the patient had transitioned to bipolar disorder. Mom and Dad's faces changed dramatically. The doctor holding his injured head said last time the examination showed moderate depression. How did it get so severe in just 2 months? What did you do? Is this child even your own? After getting home, I started smashing things again. This time, I even hit Mom on the head unexpectedly. She didn't cry. Instead, she looked at me with despair. Dad quickly found antiseptic medicine in the first aid kit, not saying a word. Mom stared at me, her eyes full of pain and struggle. Sophia, do you hate us so much? Do you want us to die?
Why?
Is it just because we forgot you in the earthquake that year? For so many years, have we ever abused you? Did we ever deny you food and clothing? Why are you tormenting us like this? She roared, her voice hoarse. If this continues, this family will be destroyed by you. I tilted my head and looked out the window, immersed in my own world. I didn't hear a single word. Early the next morning, sunlight shone into the room through the window. I mechanically got up and washed up. Mom's head was still bandaged, but she still smiled at me. A hearty breakfast was already set on the table, including the bread and milk I used to love the most. She looked at me expectantly. Sophia, try Mom's cooking. I sat down expressionlessly, then knocked over the milk. Dad, who was sitting across from me, was drenched. I was like a robot, repeating endlessly, I want noodles. If you don't cook me noodles, are you trying to starve me to death? Noodles, Grandma's scallion oil noodles, they wouldn't know how to cook them. The house was in chaos again. 1 semester passed, and my older sister and younger brother both came back. Neither of them dared to approach me. Every day I would make an excuse to go outside. That day I stopped them. Do you dislike me? They both quickly waved their hands, saying they loved me the most. I nodded with satisfaction. Then I went crazy. Under their startled gazes, I crawled in the dark, screaming wildly. My younger brother screamed in fear and scurried away. My older sister's legs turned to jelly, and she fainted. The neighbors found out and took my older sister to the hospital. Mom and Dad were completely scared now. They used the little money they had left for my older sister and younger brother. They rented an apartment for them outside, separating me from them. Then Mom and Dad continued to stay home and guard me. Some neighbors advised them. This child finally got into a key high school and then went crazy. It's truly pitiful. But this is no way to go on. Why don't you find some time to send her to a mental hospital? But Dad became furious and chased the neighbor away. My daughter is not going to that horrible place. If you can't stand it, then move away. Mom, on the other hand, sobbed and held me in her arms. Don't be afraid. Mom and Dad won't do that. But my whole body trembled. My mind was clear for a moment.
Grandma?
I fell into a deep sleep. In my dream, I saw Grandma. When I woke up, I had only one thought. I need to go find Grandma. I climbed onto the rooftop that night, gazing at the tall buildings in front of me. The night wind howled against my face. I lowered my head and caressed the bracelet on my wrist. Under the moonlight, the bracelet emitted a gentle glow. Grandma, I want to see you, I murmured softly, and was about to step forward.
No.
A heartbreaking cry suddenly came from behind me. I turned and saw Dad. Mom rushed over like crazy. Please don't do anything foolish. Dad was frantically approaching me step by step. Behind him was Mom, also scared and dazed. Sophia, come down, okay? Stop scaring Mom. Mom's voice was trembling violently. Dad also had red eyes. Dad was confused before. He ignored your feelings for so many years. We love you very much. I looked at them with a blank face, without joy or sadness. Mom cried even harder, almost sobbing uncontrollably. Dad trembled and reached out to pull me, but I stepped back, avoiding him. I was just a step away from falling into the abyss. Mom was so scared, she lost her voice. It was also at this moment that my phone suddenly rang. It was my aunt. My mind cleared up a bit. The call was answered. My aunt's anxious voice came from the other end. Sophia, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I found out I had cancer 8 years ago, so I abandoned you. I didn't know how to face you. I regret it so much. I didn't expect you to be so ill. Don't worry, I'm already on the plane. I'll be there to pick you up soon. We'll leave together then. I quietly said, okay. The wind howled in my ears. The sound of police sirens also got closer and closer around me. Time seemed to stop at this moment. I stood on the edge between life and death still for a long time. But at this moment, a force pulled me back. It was Dad. I fell into his arms. Mom quickly rushed over and hugged me tightly, crying uncontrollably, unable to catch her breath after this day. Mom and Dad watched me more closely. And my aunt arrived 2 days later. My aunt was skin and bones, like a walking skeleton. She was wearing a knitted hat that was out of season. She had no hair left. My aunt cried in front of me, apologizing to me again and again. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I really didn't know. It's okay, Auntie. Rarely. I didn't scream like a madman anymore. Mom and Dad stood on the side, looking at me with guilt and heartache. My aunt hugged me. When the passport is ready, we'll leave, okay? Mom and Dad didn't dare to watch anymore. They went back to my room and quietly helped me pack. That night, my aunt and I slept in the same room. My aunt told me stories about her childhood. She talked about how strict Grandma used to be with her. I listened and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, I woke up from a dream. The house was shaking slightly. The earthquake was coming. I suddenly opened my eyes and woke up my aunt. My aunt was still not fully awake. She was in a daze. Hurry, get out, it's an earthquake. I got up, grabbed my crutch, and pulled my aunt out of bed. My aunt's face was pale. Her stomach ache was acting up again. I didn't care about anything else. I grabbed her medicine and supported my aunt with my crutch to get out of the house. Fortunately, we lived on the second floor. We reached downstairs before long. We got to an open space. The world began to shake violently. My aunt was in too much pain to straighten up. Blood was spilling from the corner of her mouth. I couldn't think of anything else. I quickly shoved the medicine into my aunt's mouth, but she still didn't get better. And just like that, my aunt fainted. I held my aunt and sat on the ground, my eyes vacant, until someone came over and asked me how I was. Are you okay? Auntie is not okay. The rescue worker glanced at her. His face turned very bad. He gestured to the distance. Quick, come here, there's a patient here. The medical staff carried my aunt onto a stretcher, however remained stunned in place. It was that rescue worker again. He handed me a bottle of water. Don't be afraid, little sister, the earthquake wasn't very strong. Everything is okay now. Seeing that I didn't speak, he continued to ask me, by the way, was there no one else at home when you ran out? My pupils suddenly constricted. Family? Grandma is dead. I have no family anymore. Grandma is gone. I have no family. The rescue worker looked at me with sympathy. Just then, Mom and Dad ran out supporting each other. They both had injuries. Especially Dad. His head was covered in blood. Hearing me, his body, which had been trying so hard to stay upright, collapsed. Mom looked at me with sadness, then suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. She could barely stand. I was still indifferent, just repeating that sentence, I have no family. Later, I found out that after the earthquake started, Mom and Dad were awakened by the shaking. They immediately rushed to my room to find me, but couldn't find me. In the shaking house, they frantically called my name until they saw me standing there completely fine outside the window. Only then did they feel relieved. After the earthquake, Mom and Dad were both sent to the hospital. The place where my older sister and younger brother were staying was not affected, so they were fine. Dad was hit on the head, which was quite serious. He needed to undergo brain surgery. When Dad went into the emergency room, a group of us gathered outside to wait. Mom was mostly fine, but her hair turned white overnight. The doctor said this was due to extreme emotional distress. I hid in my aunt's arms, quietly. My older sister looked at Mom's white hair with heartache. She would turn to look at me from time to time, pressing her lips together, unable to squeeze out a single word. My younger brother, on the other hand, couldn't hold back. He rushed to me. How can you be so heartless? Why did you run out by yourself? Don't you know they're your parents too? I trembled and hid in my aunt's arms. My aunt was shaking with anger. She slapped my younger brother with all her might. You know you're a family, right? Then why didn't a single one of you remember Sophia that year? My aunt's thin body completely shielded me. My younger brother was so stunned by the slap that he couldn't react. He covered his cheek, his eyes red, but he didn't say anything else. The air around us seemed to freeze. Mom seemed to be shocked awake by the slap. She stumbled over, her voice hoarse and filled with endless despair. Sophia, we are sorry. I understood. I understood what it felt like to be abandoned. I buried myself in my aunt's arms. My body trembled slightly. All the hardships I had suffered over the years overwhelmed me like a tide. I opened my mouth, but my throat felt blocked. My older sister walked over to Mom, helped her up, then looked at me with tears in her eyes. Sophia, no matter how much we try to make amends, can we not erase the mistakes we made in the past? My body tensed up. My aunt hugged me even tighter. Just then, the door of the operating room opened. The doctor walked out. The surgery went well. The patient will wake up soon. Hearing this news, Mom's legs turned to jelly, and she almost collapsed to the ground. My older sister quickly squatted down to support her, comforting her softly. My younger brother stood to the side, seemingly still not having recovered from the slap. Just now my aunt patted my shoulder and said softly to me, "Don't be afraid, we can leave in a week." I nodded. A week later, my aunt and I appeared at the airport, ready to board the plane. Behind us a commotion arose. Sophia, it was Mom ignoring the staff's attempts to stop her. She tried to rush over. Behind her were Dad, still bandaged, and my older sister and younger brother supporting Dad. Mom's face was covered in tears. Her expression was sorrowful. "Sophia, don't go. Give Mom another chance. Mom really knows she was wrong." Dad also struggled to walk faster, his face pale, but still moving forward. He said in a hoarse voice, "Daughter, will you stay? I will definitely make it up to you in the future." My aunt instinctively protected me behind her. I turned around and smiled at them. Mom broke through the barrier, ran up to me, and then knelt down in front of me with a thump. "Sophia, you're a piece of flesh that fell from Mom's body. How could Mom not love you? Please just take pity on Mom. Don't leave, okay?" Saying this, she covered her face and cried. Dad, not yet recovered from his illness, was already covered in cold sweat on his forehead. He stood a few meters away, trembling as he reached out his hand, as if wanting to touch me. His eyes were full of grief and caution. My older sister and younger brother also had red eyes. My older sister pressed her lips together, not daring to look directly into my eyes. My younger brother, on the other hand, was full of regret. He mumbled, "Sister Sophia, I really know I was wrong. I won't bully you anymore in the future. Please don't leave, okay?" I didn't soften. My aunt and I still boarded the plane. Looking at the city shrinking outside the window, I knew in my heart that my new life had begun. My aunt's cancer did not continue to worsen. Her condition was well controlled. The doctor explained to me in English that one's mood has a great impact on the progression of an illness with your companionship. Your mother's condition is well controlled. Yes, I call my aunt Mom now. I have been transferred to my aunt's household registration. My aunt is unmarried and childless. I am her only child. My bipolar disorder is also slowly disappearing. Everything is getting better. I don't know what happened in the country. Only occasionally do text messages arrive on my phone asking how I am doing. I don't reply to any of them. Mountains high and rivers long, I have found my own place in the world, and